Hi everyone, and welcome to the collective reading for June 19th through the 25th. This is I Am Illuminated Tarot reading for soul illumination. Hi everyone and welcome. We're going to jump right in here. So this is going to be looking at the general energy for the week ahead. We're going to be pulling a card here first to really kind of set the tone for the week. What's the theme going to be? Where are we being asked to really focus our attention and energy? And then I'll be pulling additional cards to really take a look at different aspects of our experience. So we'll get a little deeper into the message and into the general theme here. So let's see what we can all expect for the week ahead. And welcome to anyone who is new. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you to everyone who is returning. It really means a lot to me. So we have yin, beautiful energy with the number 2. So yin energy is the feminine energy of receptivity. You can see here that's signified by a cup, an open chalice. And with 2, this really kind of plays off of the theme from last week, which was really looking at our relationships and how we connect with others. And with this, I feel that this is kind of like continuation of that beautiful energy of then really putting ourselves in that receptive place to be ready to receive love. You know, we can sometimes when we think about love, we can think about giving love. And that's kind of more of a masculine perspective. That would be the yin energy of this, yang energy. But we don't often, when we think about love, how much do we allow love to come in for us? How much do we allow for support from others? How much do we look to receive as much as we look to give? And I do feel like this is a really beautiful week with this energy coming in of just maybe harmony, perhaps between our relationships, or harmony between key partnerships in our experience, but also us getting to this place of just kind of waiting to see now, after we've started to focus on our relationships, what is going to come from that? What are the new relationships and what are the new dynamics that are going to be coming towards you? Who's going to be these new people who are going to be offering support and love and partnership? Because with the number 2, that really does speak to partnership. That speaks to the one and the one, 2 individuals coming together to harmonize. So I'm going to pull an additional card here from the traditional tarot so we get a little bit more of a different side to this message. So we have the 10 of Wands. And this is interesting to come out there because the 10 of Wands is where we feel like we're carrying a heavy burden alone. This is where we can feel like the weight of the world is on our shoulders. It's also, though, where we get to close out a cycle of where we've maybe felt like we had to do it all ourselves. And there's something here with the 2 of this week is that week to finally put down that burden and to open ourselves up to maybe where there was love and support that wanted to come in and help with that burden, but we maybe weren't willing or in a place to see or receive it. Or maybe now it's realizing how we can learn from past experiences where we felt like this. We felt like we were alone, carrying a heavy burden, having to put in all the work ourselves. And yet now we know that we don't have to come from that place. We can ask for help. We can open our cup up to receive the love and support of others. So this is a week, I think, where many of us are going to be in a place of perhaps reflection as to maybe either where we need to put down a burden or where we have carried a burden in the past, felt alone in that effort, and now realizing the support that's around us to be able to lean into that. I'm going to pull now 4 additional cards where we are going to be looking at the different aspects to our experience. We're going to start with our emotional selves, what we're going to be expecting in the realm of love and emotional connection. And then might pull some clarifiers today. We'll see. We'll see what messages want to come out. We might get a little deeper into whatever kind of stands out here. What do we all need to know about our emotional selves? Okay. Ooh, I love it. We have love endures. Love does not give up or lose faith. Love is hopeful and withstands every situation. Number 43, breaking down to number 7 in numerology, which is the number of our spiritual or our connection to spirit. It's actually a divine number. It is one that also speaks to the partnership that we have between us and the divine in co-creating life, and the confidence we can have in the self, knowing that we are co-creating with spirit, that what we're doing, what we're building, what we're creating, how we're living is directly tied to something greater than ourself. But I do love here that it says love endures. Love does not give up or lose faith. Love is hopeful and withstands every situation. Now, this card also came out last week, which is interesting. So there is this feeling of continuing. It's almost like what I'm seeing intuitively is this person is at the breaking point and they're ready to put the heavy burden down. But if you notice, this individual looks like they have their back turned to the cup over here. And there's an element of faith that if you decide to put that heavy burden down, there are going to be others that maybe you don't even see who are going to kind of come up and out of the blue say, oh my gosh, would you like us to help pick that back up for you? In fact, we can divvy out the wands. You don't have to carry it all yourself. So there's something here around that. When we think about that emotional core to ourselves, where we feel like we are alone, or we feel like we have to keep doing something. This is where we can lean into a little bit of that faith and the hopefulness of saying, I feel burdened in some area of my experience, but I'm going to have the faith that if I put the burden down, or I express to someone in my experience that I can't continue to bear the weight of this, or I feel like I'm alone in carrying the weight of this, that I will be hopeful and that individual will respond with love and support, or that there will be others around me who will come out and who will be able to pick up that burden. Okay, so now I'm going to pull a card for our mental side to our experience here. So kind of what we need to know about our thoughts, how to direct them. What do we all need to know about our mental state this week? Yeah, I get the feeling it's a big theme on partnerships, and also breaking down walls to a certain extent, because that's really what I'm seeing with this individual. Is there's like this almost like a cutoff between all the things that they feel they have to do and just simply turning around and allowing someone to kind of offer this cup. It's almost like this individual needs to have a drink, needs to be refreshed in some way, and yet they are not willing to turn around and see the cup that's being offered to them to allow them to have that moment of respite and help and refreshment. So for the mental state, or our mental kind of aspect of our experience this week, we have warrior woman. I love it. It says, have you answered your deepest calling? And here she's holding a sword, which very much looks like the Ace of Swords in the tarot, which does speak to mental clarity. It speaks to that kind of aha moment. I see something now. It also speaks to us really being able to understand our truth. And this could be a week where, when it says, have you answered your deepest calling? You know, a lot of times we can sit here and, get into that place of, what is my purpose? Am I actually living my purpose? And what I'm doing, does it really have meaning outside of just myself? And there's something here where maybe it's time for us to really look at a mental aspect, at where we are maybe blocking ourselves from seeing something about a truth that is unique to our experience, where we are blocking ourselves from seeing that mentally and really kind of having that clarity of self, clarity of something within our situation, and where we're just choosing to continue to kind of chug along, and we're hiding perhaps behind the tasks, the chores, this would be like the individual who is maybe the main support for a family, a main financial support, and they feel like they have to work the extra hours, and they have to then come home and still take care of the children, and they have to bear that stress of, if I don't continue to work at this pace, even though it's very difficult and draining, that I might be letting my whole family down. And yet there's somebody here, possibly a partner, who's waiting to say, I can take some of that. You don't have to bear that entire burden yourself. And yet there's this feeling within of, it could be done perhaps a better way. When we think about, have you answered your deepest calling? This is sometimes when our own intuition is kind of coming up to the surface saying, you don't have to do it this way, because there's a better way that is more in alignment with who you are and with your truth. And maybe you don't have to work, at this specific job, working 20 hours of overtime every week. Maybe there is a way for you to stop, put down the burden for a minute, speak to a partner in your life about how you feel like you don't maybe have that clarity, or you are carrying this burden. And this might be that week where then you get a chance to stop, and it's almost like your partner's like, I know, I see you working these long hours. It's not making me happy either. It's, makes me sad or stressed for you. Why don't we stop and think this through? Let's talk it out, because the sword can also represent that as well, communication. There's something here around really getting to that place of maybe expressing how, again, a burden long carried is affecting your experience of how you are being able to effectively understand your truth and feel that what you're doing has meaning. And by opening up to someone in your experience, I think it's going to lead to that clarity of, because you don't have to actually be doing it the way that you've been doing it all this time, and you don't have to do it alone. So this is kind of asking us each to be brave, kind of like the individual in this image here, to be brave and to say, I need to speak my truth, and I need to, through speaking my truth, understand that is helping me get back on track with answering my deepest calling, which most of our deepest callings are not to overwork ourselves or to feel alone or to feel like we have to just keep carrying a burden for the sake of carrying it. I do feel like this is a week where we can really where we can free ourselves and maybe even get creative in how we do that. So we have two cards for the physical part of our experience here. So we have surrender to divine timing. It says sometimes divine timing may differ from your ego's timing. If a goal isn't manifesting fast enough according to your ego, be patient and trust the universal flow. And then it says surrender to creativity. It says let your imagination soar. Stay open to all creative ideas about how to pursue a dream or solve a problem. I love this because these two together kind of speak to the scenario that I was just explaining, that there may be this feeling of why is, like it could be where you're constantly feeling like, okay, I'll keep carrying this burden until something, it would be like saying, I'm going to keep working 20 hours of overtime every week to support the family. Until we finally have enough saved in the bank to where I can maybe look to stop working so much because we don't need to have that extra money coming in. But this is saying maybe it's time to get, when we surrender into divine timing, there is a feeling here of, well, maybe what you're expecting to come in or what you're hoping to come in or what you're waiting for before you put down this burden, it's going to come in its own time. With the surrender to creativity, this is saying maybe it's time to get creative about how you, again, approach this situation and putting down a burden. This might be something where you get creative financially and you sit down and you look at your budget and you say, you know what, we could cut this away, we could cut that away, or maybe it's time to talk to a financial investor or a financial planner and see how we can make our money work for us instead of kind of just you going to work and hoping to earn more by working more. It could also be, again, where you find another way to do something creatively in any aspect of your experience that you really feel you're overburdened in. This could be Like, looking at if you feel like maybe you're on the opposite side of the coin and you're the one in the home taking care of everything. And yet you feel like I'm the only one that takes care of the kids and I'm the only one that takes care of the house. And it's just too much for me. Well, maybe this is saying, that it's not like, well, I'll just hold out until the kids leave the house at some point 20 years from now. This would be like saying, maybe it's time to get a little creative and in the scheduling, in the routine, carving out time for yourself, but being able to do that with someone else in your experience, whether that is with your romantic partner, whether that is opening up to a close friend who says, hey, you know what? I went through the same thing, and guess what I did? This was a solution that worked for me. Something along those lines where, when we think of divine timing, we don't know we really don't know how long things are going to take to manifest or when things are going to come into our life. We don't know if we're going to all of a sudden get a boon of money that comes in out of left field. And now we can buy that house instead of working so many hours, or, now, whatever it is. There's a feeling here of kind of just realizing that the time is now to face whatever this is, and to face it together with someone, to be open about it, to communicate from that place, and then allow the other person, the other experience, the other support system to help you get creative, to help you see perhaps another way to do something, changing of the routine, changing your perspective just in how you are perceiving the burden itself. Or someone who can just literally come in and say, let's get creative together, and I'm going to be the one that takes half of that off your plate. But it starts with opening up, and opening up again from a place of faith and hopefulness. Okay, and so let's see what we need to know about our passions and how we're choosing to take action this week. Ooh, okay, that's lots to come out here. Okay, so we have the Two of Swords. So the Two of Swords is a card that does bring up air energy. It brings up the energy of not being able to make a decision, not being able to see clearly, not being able to see what is more in alignment with our truth. And so this really speaks to when we think about this being where we choose to take action and how we choose to take action. I think for a lot of us, there is this lack of clarity as to how to take action towards something, and possibly something new, if it means putting down something long carried and old. But yet we're sitting here kind of, when you look at this individual, she has a blindfold on and she's having these crows kind of squawking, and it's almost like having that just sound in our head where we just can't, it's like very disruptive, discordant, where we have no idea what choice to make or how we're going to do anything differently. And this is where, before we choose to take action, it's about first getting very clear here. And that's going to help kind of quiet the noise. Like we understand that working way beyond our means when we are at that point of like that kind of breaking point, or we understand when we're at the breaking point in anything, in any, this could be, I'm pertaining it to work, but this could be actually where maybe you've long held, maybe there was someone who passed away in your family, and so you've carried the burden of just being the emotional support person for everyone, but yet you now need to have that emotional support in your own life and feel like you can't just leave these other family members in a place of having to go to someone else, or maybe now having to support you. But there's something here around being able to express from that place, to say, I need help. I can't be there for you now in the way that I used to be. Can you help me? And there can be something here again around this feeling, this clarity that comes in with the other people that you are openly expressing this to, who are going to come in and allow you to really see, I think, this lack of clarity around making a decision to change a behavior, a pattern, or to put down a burden, where it's like, I do want to make the choice to not maybe be the emotional punching bag for my entire family, but I don't see how there's any other way for this to happen, because no one else is in that position to be able to be that person, or no one has ever stepped up when it was time to it was needed. But this might be that things have changed. Again, surrender to divine timing, understand that people do grow. And with the yin energy, this is saying it's time for us to open up. It's time for us to receive that help, be it in whatever aspect of your experience that is. And when we open ourselves up through our emotional plane, it helps us clarify this indecision, this inability to see our way forward in the mental plane. So, which will then help clarify where and how to choose to take action. Okay, I'm going to pull just a couple clarifiers here for some of this. So let's go ahead and see. I'm really curious about that 10 of Wands to see what is that really pertaining to? What is that heavy burden related to for us? What do we need to know about that 10 of Wands? I mean, sometimes this can simply be just when we think of 10 of Wands, this can be where, we're carrying maybe the wounds of the past with us. Maybe we were hurt in love and we had to go out on our own after that. And so we continue to do so, and we're blocking ourselves from new relationships. Okay, we have a whole story coming out here. So we have 5 of Wands, we have the Lovers, we have the World, and then we have 4 of Swords and 8 of Pentacles. Yes, okay, this is kind of exactly what I was just stating. There was a level of discordance, of disharmony around a divine partnership, or possibly someone that you loved. But again, this could be even family members, so this could be something that was chaotic. But with the World coming in, it says that's done. That part of your experience where trying to choose what you loved, who you loved, created a certain level of chaos, or, whether that was in the relationship itself or in pursuing the relationship, it created chaos. But then we have 4 of Swords and 8 of Pentacles. And this is where we get to reflect on the wounds of the past. We get to see the clarity, the truth. This is a card of rest. This is where, for some of us, it could have been we went through a really difficult period in our relationship, and now we kind of have to take a step back and reflect. It's recovery time. And it's allowing us to really see where we need to start to put our time and energy towards something new, where it's like, okay, I'm going to put my head down. 8 of Pentacles is perfecting something. It's working at something. But this could be where, again, because of the past kind of chaos or turbulence around either a romantic partnership or around something that you love. I mean, this was a business. The Lovers doesn't specifically mean romantic love. For many of us, it may pertain to that, though. It's saying that there was a time after that point when that kind of came to an end, where then we put our heads down and started working on something, started to perfect something. And that could be where maybe this was where you went through a divorce. And so you're like, okay, well, now I have to recover from that. And as I'm recovering from that, I'm going to put my head down and go back to work and realize now I have to do all the work myself. But at some point that became a burden. At some point having to work like this, you can see the individual's all alone, that individual chose to work at something all alone. And there's almost this feeling of this is that kind of cycle that at one point had felt like recovery, but now has become the burden. And it's something that has left you alone. So if this was maybe, again, a business environment that maybe you started working someplace and you were so passionate about it and it was great, but yet it ended up getting to the point where it just felt like you were kind of in the middle of a battle every time you went into work. It got very stressful. And so finally that had to come to an end. Maybe you moved to a different position. Maybe you said, you know what? I'm going to go back and I'm going to go back to school and I'm going to get a new skill set so I don't have to go back into that specific industry anymore. But then there's this feeling of, okay, well, maybe then you went back and you got a different degree and maybe you're working in a new environment, but it's still kind of at this point saying, now that cycle has become a burden. Maybe the new job is equally as stressful. Or maybe you had to go back to school after you left a work environment, and maybe your dynamic with your partner at home has changed, where you're like, I'm having to study all the time. I don't have the time anymore to cook dinner at night, or I don't have the time to do something because I'm working at something new. And instead of just expressing to say, like, it's starting to become too much for me to handle to keep up with all of the old things and the new things or the change that happened here, that this is just saying it's time for us to kind of embrace that we are changing and growing, especially in this month. And as we do so, we need to continue to communicate that to others in our experience who are going to come in to support this new version of ourselves. And to also think about new creative ways to start to change our situation. Again, change the routines, change how people dole out tasks, even change how, again, we view going to work or maintaining the home, things like that, so that it gets to be to a place that is manageable and doesn't feel like a heavy burden. Okay, let's go ahead and see about, I'm curious about, have you answered your deepest calling? So let's see what's coming in for that. Yeah, I'm just really hearing you don't have to do it all alone. You don't have to do it all alone. Okay. Yeah, have you answered, of course, 8 of Cups. It's time to walk away from something that is no longer emotionally fulfilling. And again, this could pertain specifically to what happened here. That there's a romantic relationship that was chaotic and fell apart. That there was a work environment that was chaotic and needed to be released, that there was whatever it is, there's something here specifically stating that there's something it's time to walk away from because it is no longer emotionally supporting you, but yet you have to communicate that because this is all about the air aspect of our experience. It's about really thinking about what this is, thinking about what you're no longer emotionally connected to, and then being able to communicate that to someone in your experience who's waiting to help you. So let's go ahead and see about this 2 of Swords. What do we need to know about the 2 of Swords? This lack of clarity. Okay, so we have a card that is unique to this deck here, which I always feel is very similar to the 10 of Pentacles. We have the Knight of Pentacles, the 10 of Cups, and then we have the 5 of Swords, which is I'm wanting to kind of push that away. So for me, this is a card here. You can see this is a card that really speaks to the different generations of a family. It looks like to be like a grandmother, her daughter, and then the grandchildren around the grandmother. There is a level here that really speaks to the family aspect, the generational aspect of the 10 of Pentacles. The 10 of Pentacles in the tarot speaks to really grounding our legacy, what we want to achieve in the physical sense. But this really speaks to more about what do you want to pass on as a legacy to your children, and really looking at the family and the home life. And with the Knight of Pentacles, this could be a Virgo in your experience, but this could also just be someone who is very careful, very methodical, sees the plan and is ready and willing to take the steps towards achieving something in the physical. And the 10 of Cups is literally the happy family card. This is, bliss on a level that it's like touching heaven on earth, but through our emotional state. And for some of you, I feel like there's a feeling here of either there's someone in your life that is kind of this combative energy with the 5 of Swords. This is someone who does, I always call it my, divine sticking your fingers in your ears, don't want to hear it, don't want to see it, don't want to hear your opinion. But it can also be one where maybe this is someone, this could be you, where you are fighting, letting in happiness, family, the kind of the long distance planning. I'm in it for the long haul, and then the 10 of Cups. It's like the dream fulfilled. But I think it's like, well, I could go for that. I want that. But yeah, there's a level of resistance. And I think that resistance here is coming because you feel like you're carrying too much. You feel like, again, maybe you've done something alone for too long, and it's like, well, I'll never have that. I can't choose that because I can't have it from where I am now, or it was a burden at one point and I can't go back and carry that burden again. And this is saying either you're not going to repeat the past because you understand now how something became a burden to you. This is saying it's time to go for the dream, but for many of you, I think you can't even see it because you're not willing to admit it to yourself that there's something here around the home and the family and the commitment to that and committing to the dream of partnership and abundance on an emotional level that you can then share with others. You have so much, you literally can share it. But there's either someone in your experience who is, kind of pushing that away or creating some level of friction. But more specifically, I think for many of us, this is us. This is us saying, I want that. I want to commit to the dream and the family and the happy home or just the happy feeling of life in general. But I can't. I can't have that because I'm carrying too much, and there's no way that I can shift focus. There's no way that I can stop working so much so that I can start dating more. It's kind of one of those things. It's like, but we have to realize there is something in our experience that is no longer fulfilling for us. And so when we leave the Eight of Cups behind, because we're walking towards the other two cups that create the 10 of Cups out here. It's the individual who takes his cup from the Eight of Cups and knows he's going to find the 10 of Cups with someone else who will meet his cup. And that is the two of Cups up here. With the yin energy, that there is someone else, I think, waiting to hold out their cup to you, to really kind of bring this whole dream to life. But it first takes each one of us really realizing where we're carrying a burden from something from the past. This could be why, like for instance, this could be where we, in the past, had to be the breadwinner, or in the past had to be the one who, planned everything and took the responsibility of the home life on our shoulders. And so when we are looking to possibly get into a new relationship, we're like, no, I don't even want to get into a relationship because last time I did that, everything fell on my shoulders and it was just too crazy and I can't even. It's like, yeah, but the whole reason why that first experience didn't work out was to teach you that things can be different, that you can still believe in the dream, but now you are armed with the information to understand how to lean on another in this instance, or communicate more about something that doesn't work for you. So there is something around here, like, don't give up on the dream. Don't fight the dream away. Instead, put down the burden. Don't assume that you are going to have to assume a burden, or don't assume that you have to carry this burden all alone this time. There is someone around you to support you and to, again, offer you that cup. That is the 10 of Cups. It's the individual who is strong enough to walk away from something that isn't answering your deepest calling, and being with full faith, right? Love endures, knowing that they will go out and find that other individual who will meet them cup to cup and create this happy family card. Now, again, it doesn't have to be family related. This could be, your dream could be literally to have a thriving career, that then you have something physical to then, carry on down to your children or down the generational line, something along that line. But there is something here about really understanding that there is another waiting to be that support system to you, helping you realize where a burden can be put down, and maybe getting creative as well as to how to see around the I can't, which is the 5 of Swords. This can be a really beautiful week for us, I think, if we lean into the dream and say, no, it can happen for me. I don't have to carry the burden all alone this time. I can make that much money. I can have that thriving business. I can have that beautiful home and family life with a partner that loves and supports me. I can. Because I can see here we've all been working towards something, and it's time now to realize it. but realize it through connection to others and realizing that we don't have to do it all alone from this point forward. I feel like I want to get one more. This is definitely a week. I'm just going to state this is definitely going to be a week for all of us that's really going to focus on, again, where maybe we even have a hidden burden. That burden on an emotional sense of that we're carrying from a past experience that really wounded us, where we are, again, not wanting to change jobs because the last time we were, or not wanting to maybe accept a promotion, something along those lines, because the last time you were a manager at another company, it turned out that you did have to work the 20 hours and you just can't bear that burden. And it's saying, well, maybe give it a chance and really set the tone with someone else in your experience before you enter into that contract to kind of level up in your experience, grow, and say, I don't want this to get to that point now. And then see what happens. It's like kind of putting it all out on the table, saying, I had to walk away from a previous management role because it was too much. I don't want to do that again. I would love to be successful in this role. So either talking to your boss or talking to someone in the home and saying, this is what I need to be successful this time around. This is what I need to really help commit to the dream, commit to the happy family, commit to the legacy, commit to, whatever it is and whatever aspect of your experience this is coming from. Okay, and I'm going to pull, I think, just one additional card. I'm going to pull from a deck I haven't used in a while. I really love the images of this one. So let's see, what do we need to know? What's a final piece of advice for this week? Oh, interesting. We have Animal Kingdom. So it says, animals of all types are extraordinary creatures and miraculous gifts to us. They've been our spiritual companions since the dawn of time. At this moment, they have lessons to share with you that will open your heart and soul. I love that. It's kind of funny because you sit here and say, what does this have to do with any of this reading? And I think for some of you, it may be actually through animals that might kind of help you maybe open up. If you have a animal family in your own home, you have your furry pets, your furry children, it could be just kind of spending time with them and helping really get in touch with your emotional state, and again kind of feeling where you're carrying a burden. But I also get the feeling with this card that it's really seeing how animals are there to be that support system, that we can't open the door and our dog or our cat or our bird or whatever we choose to, to bring into our life does come over and love us unconditionally, is there to support us, just as we are there to support them. And sometimes, we have to realize that that kind of relationship, that kind of commitment, that kind of loving affection, we can get that from people in our life as well. We don't have to assume that because we were hurt in the past, we'll be hurt again. There's this feeling here of, almost kind of like animal friendship, devotional quality to the people in our experience, and trusting that if we show up for other people, they will also show up for us in the same way. I actually just want to pull a couple clarifiers because I find this such an interesting card to come out here. What do we need to know about Animal Kingdom? Well, for some of you, interestingly enough, there is something about an opportunity there. So I'm not quite sure what that is. I mean, this could be, for some of you, I'm just hearing intuitively animal therapy. So I don't know what that means, maybe Four of Swords and an opportunity. This actually could be, very interestingly enough, animal therapy. So for anyone, this is an extra special message. For anyone who is maybe looking to recover from something, there could be something here around either getting into an animal rescue situation, maybe volunteering your time, or going to some of those animal therapy places, where they have the horse riding and things like that really can allow you to help kind of open up through trusting. It's really the trusting of the animal that kind of helps unlock our ability to then kind of trust and open up again to life. So that might be a very specific message to some of you guys. This could also state as well that if for those of you who are maybe looking to start that second, maybe that's part of the dream. Part of the dream is to have an animal sanctuary. Part of the dream is to have a dog rescue. Part of the dream is to, I don't know what, move to Costa Rica and be surrounded by the most amazing flora and fauna. That there's an opportunity here to focus in that area, and that's what's going to bring this extra level of recovery for you and really allow you to see where maybe you haven't answered your deepest calling because it is in some type of animal rescue or habitat or something along those lines. So interesting message to come through, but it's obviously coming through for someone or some of you who need to hear that. So I will leave it there. I hope you all have a wonderful week ahead. I will be posting over the next couple days a specific reading for each sign, a mini reading where we dive a little deeper into this message, but for each sign specifically. So if you'd like to watch those, you can subscribe to the channel so you get notified as soon as I post those. But otherwise, I look forward to reading for you all next week in next week's Illumination reading. Bye, everyone.